slide.
Yeah.
Hey,
Right. Well, they haven't missed anything really. We'll get up here, and once it starts recording, I'll just announce that this is the Treasurer's Report, and if you have any questions, it's still spinning here. Hang on a second.
You don't get my spiel. Okay.
There we go. Okay, so we are recording now, so careful what you say. The recording started a little bit late, but you didn't really miss anything. This is the Treasurer's Report, which he's already talked through. And if you have any questions, you can just get a hold of Matt. Okay, moving right along. Let's see here. Loaner Scope program. Is Antone on? Okay.
No.
Well.
Yes, I am here.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, my little microphone button kept hiding on me.
Yeah, it does that.
It does that, yes. Anyway, we are in our busy season. All telescopes, except for the PST solar scope, are currently out on loan. And most of the telescopes have a waiting list. So members wishing to borrow a telescope can certainly request one through the website, but you can expect a wait before one becomes available. And as far as our procedure, we're still conducting it at my house, social distancing, masks, and all that.
Okay, so procedure hasn't changed, and there's a waiting list for all the telescopes except for the PST.
Right.
Okay,
And
very good.
Question for Antone?
Yes.
Go ahead. Now, the term for the normal loan is 1 month, correct?
That's right.
Okay. So there will be some coming in, and you still have a waiting list.
That's right. Of all the telescopes that are out right now, there's one that doesn't have a hold on it, but all the other ones have someone waiting for them.
Got it. Thank you.
And the Loaner Scope Committee is trying to prep 1 or 2 additional telescopes for the fleet. So, but we're not quite ready with those yet.
Yeah, in fact, I have one here at my house, and it already has someone waiting for it. Once I get it ready.
Then there's another SCT that's pending, and then we're considering also a little small travel scope.
Hey, Anton, since we're on the topic, for people that are new or haven't partaken in the program yet, how do you find the form to fill out?
Well, it's on our website under members, and then there's the Loaner Scope program link under the members drop-down menu. And you click on that, you can see pictures of all the telescopes that we have, and there's a form to fill out to request telescopes. And we also have those DVD astronomy courses that can be borrowed through the website as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving right along. Okay, upcoming celestial events. Hang on a second. So we have a full moon coming up here on July the 5th, and a penumbral lunar eclipse that can be seen from Minneapolis. And right there are the times. So it's kind of a nice evening type of thing, early enough in the evening that you should be able to see it. And then on that same night, Jupiter and Saturn will both be relatively close to the moon. They're not, it won't be, I wouldn't say exactly a conjunction. They're a little bit, I mean, they're within a couple of degrees, I guess you call that a conjunction. But it's not like you're going to be super close. But it should be a nice grouping.
And Dave, how visible is a penumbral eclipse like that?
Not very. That's you might notice just a little bit of darkening of the moon if you are a person who observes the moon frequently. But I don't know, Suresh, you've seen these before, haven't you?
Yes. Sorry, my mute button was on. Yeah, what you'll detect really is just a little shading on the part closest to the umbra. So I can't remember if this is passing south. Yeah, it is passing south. So just the northern fringe of the moon will show a little bit of tinge, but it won't be anything like being in the corona and the umbra itself. The southern part of the moon, you probably won't notice hardly anything at all. And so the time that you'll see any shading will be relatively brief compared to other.
Yeah, so the image that's up here shows the penumbral shadow and the moon. So part of the moon isn't even in the penumbra. It's just the top part of the moon that's in the penumbra. So it's tough to see. I'll be honest with you. I generally don't waste my time looking at it. Okay. July 12th is the last quarter moon, and then July 14th, Jupiter is at opposition. And that's kind of nice because it's only 6 days before the new moon, so you should get a good look at that. And then on the day of the new moon, Saturn is at opposition. So we have both major planets at opposition. The opposition this month, so should get some good views of those mid-month. July 22nd, Mercury's at greatest western elongation. If you want to get up early in the morning to take a look at that. And then we have the first quarter moon on the 27th, along with the Delta Aquariid meteor shower, which is being listed as it's going to be a poor viewing for the shower this year. So, and then the next full moon is August 3rd. Our next meeting is August 6th. So that's why the August 3rd full moon was in there. Did I miss anything? People know of any more celestial events?
Yeah, Comet Neowise is coming back into view. It's for the people that are in the know. It's designated 2020 F3 Neowise, and Don Gazdick and I were looking at this the other day. Roughly around the 14th of July, it should start popping up high enough after dark for people at our latitude to see. So it's at that time it'll be actually pretty far in the north. It'll be in Lynx actually for people that can find Lynx after dark in the far northwest, almost in the north. And after that, after each night, it'll get higher and higher in the sky. Right now, it's being reported at second magnitude. It's very close to the sun, and people in the southern hemisphere, I think, can see it. But I think it's just passing through perihelion right about now. So it'll start coming back out, and we should have a better view of it. I don't know, John, did you have any other comments on that?
What do you know what they're predicting for the magnitude to be at that time?
I do not. I think what I saw a couple months ago was just a peak. Well, when it was nearest the sun, I actually saw magnitude estimates of the negatives, but I don't know how that pertains to when we can see it. Yeah. I don't think for us it's going to be higher than about second magnitude.
Yeah, it brightened up recently as it was going, or unexpectedly brightened as it was going around the sun here recently. And I think they're thinking somewhere around fourth magnitude as it, becomes visible in the evening.
Yeah, I saw a magnitude estimate of -5 the other day. I didn't know if that was real or not, as it was passing by the sun.
So it's definitely supposed to be visual. So.
Yes, it should be a visual comet high in the northwest western sky starting around the 14th or so for us.
Okay, cool. All right. Take that in along with the oppositions. All right. Anything else? All right. All right, what's next here? So, June. Supposed to say July. Sorry. So we got July star parties. We have the impromptu star parties per the published site rules. That'll stay the same until things change with the state. We have reservation-only public star parties, and we are going to have Camping with the Stars. Merle, are you on? Can you talk to those a little bit? Maybe he's not on.
Yep, hold on. You
Okay.
there?
Yep.
Took me a while to figure where the mic was. Yeah, we're doing Camping with the Stars, reservation only, of course. The park, last I heard, had a dozen people registered through at the campsites. We're still working out, and actually, the Sam and Connie were supposed to call me today, and they didn't, about talking about Camping with the Stars. So I have nothing new other than we're working on a plan. But I anticipate it going like our public star party did, by reservation, limited attendance, things like that. We're going to have 3 outdoor presentations. I think Jake and Brad and Colin will be doing outside presentations. So we're going to be scaled back a little bit, but I think we can still do this.
Okay, well, sounds good. All right. Well, we'll keep our eye on the forums and see how that develops. Do you still need people to help out for that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And again, they could just indicate so on the forum. Do you have a thread for that?
Yes. I don't think we're asking for key holder help quite yet. We're not quite close enough.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm asking for key holder help on the 11th.
On the 11th, okay.
But Camping with the Stars, yeah, we're still a little bit out. But like I say, if you feel comfortable coming out and helping, that would be great. Let me know.
Yeah, and I didn't have the dates here. When is Camping with the Stars?
We're going to do the 24th, 25th. We're not going to do the Sunday morning.
Okay.
So it'll just be the 24th, 25th.
So it's last weekend. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Any questions about that? Okay. Public service announcements. Okay. The first one I have is that the all-day imaging workshop that was scheduled for Saturday, August 1st has been canceled. Okay. The next one I have is there's a planet imaging workshop on acquiring the data using fire capture. I've got both of yours up here, but Suresh, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, Volts and I are going to tag team on 2 different events for the Planet Imaging Group. If you guys remember back when we last met in March, I broached the subject of creating a Planet Imagers group. We've got a critical mass of, I don't know, 10 or 15 people that showed interest on the forum. So we're going to go ahead and start doing these kind of events, even during COVID. The first one's going to be on July 23rd at 8 p.m. The second will be on Tuesday, July 28th at 8 p.m. And these events will be posted on the forum, so you can look for it there. The first one is going to be a discussion on how to acquire or capture video frames on planets on the moon using fire capture and SharpCap. Volts is probably going to do the most of the work on this, as I'm still a beginner, but we will be tag teaming. And the second event, as it's shown on the screen, will be the stacking with AutoStacker, and then wavelet processing using Registack 6. That'll be scheduled for it's actually Tuesday, Dave, not Thursday. Tuesday, July 28th at 8 p.m. So you can sign up on the forum when we post that, or just chime in. We'll put the link up. We're actually thinking, Dave, of using Zoom instead of Google Hangouts, but who knows? Maybe we'll switch it.
That's fine. What are we going to do? A quick question for you. I know Registack 6 is a freeware. Is that AutoStacker 2 freeware?
Yeah, everything here is freeware except for, I'm not sure if SharpCap is or not. I don't have it. I know either Conrad or Vault can talk to that.
SharpCap, there's a free version of SharpCap too. So this is all free stuff. There's all free software.
Yeah, and the other thing too is the whole idea behind these events is going to be an informal demonstration. So it's not going to be an elaborate presentation kind of thing. It's going to be this is how you do things using these software. And with the planets coming to opposition, Jupiter comes to opposition on the 14th, and I think Saturn is the 16th. It's good timing for that. And of course, Mars is coming in October as well.
Right. So just keep your eye on the imaging SIG. Right. This is where it's going to be advertised, and any updates would be there as well. So
yes.
Cool. Very good. Any questions about that? All right. Is there any other public service announcements?
This is Ken. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I'd like to mention a little bit about Northern Nights Starfest. We still do not know for sure whether that's going to be a go or not. The committee has decided we're going to forego if it does happen, we're going to forego any speakers or any real formal gathering events at the Star Party. I've been talking to LLCC, and they have 29 rooms, so the Star Party might be limited to one person per room, which would be 29 people. So we're really not going to know 100% for sure if this is going to go at all until probably the last weeks of July or first part of August. But it's looking like right now, if things kind of stay the way they are with the governor and stuff, we could have 29 people there, no lectures, there'd be no food, so that'd be a big issue, is you'd have to find your own food or bring a grill or whatever. But that's kind of some of the preliminary information we got right now.
Okay, and when you say 29 rooms, if somebody brought like a family member along, they could stay with them, right? So I mean, you could...
Right? Yeah, it's if you're a couple or married or whatever, yeah, you can stay in one room. Yep.
Right.
Ken, LCC closed down all their events through July as well, right? Did they say anything about August yet?
No. So the LLCC right now is writing all of their procedures and stuff for the school year because their primary function is to have school kids come. And they may actually not do anything with school kids and go into what they call a dormant mode or whatever. But the end of July, first part of August is when I'd be able to find out for sure if we can have any kind of a Star Party. Last 2 weeks ago, I think Mary went up observing up there. She might have been the only one. But right now, they'll give us up to 5 rooms on a Star Party night and one person per room. So 5 people max can go up.
Yeah. Well, yes, but we have that caveat in there that if you and another person agree to be in a room, I think that we allow that.
Right. Yep.
So can do people sign up on the LCC form if they're going to be heading up, so that we don't end up with more than 5 people?
Right. Yes, or they can contact me. But yeah, we should actually send something out on the form that you're going, or
yeah, sure. It works the same way as ELO or CGO. You know, you sign up for a particular weekend, and we'll keep an eye on it and make sure that they don't exceed that number. Yeah. So.
And if you do sign up for the Northern Night Starfest earlier now, there's 7 people signed up right now, but you'll get 100% refund on everything if it does not take place.
Okay. Very good. Okay, any questions about that?
Yeah, there are some questions out on the chat, it looks like.
Okay. Let me open up the chat here. Okay. Can I pull a camper up to NNSF?
Yes, there is. We do allow camping now. There's a limited number of RV spots. But we opened that up last year. Nobody actually signed up to use it, but that is available.
How many spots do you have, you know?
I think there's like 5.
Okay. Okay. All right. I think that's the only question that on NNSF. Oh yeah, there's a question about a Star Party, a public Star Party, and can they bring their son? And I would assume yes, that would be okay.
Yeah, but the sun counts towards the maximum number, right?
Yeah, it would. So you'd have to indicate that there's 2 people coming. All right. Moving right along. Call for Gemini articles. So again, and Father hasn't written me lately about whether or not he needs Gemini articles. He's always looking for Gemini articles, but since he hasn't written me, I don't think he's in a critical shape at the moment. So, but again, if you've got some experiences, especially around the code, what you've been doing, write a quick article about it and submit it to him. He really enjoys getting all the articles from members. He prides himself on the fact that our newsletter is solely articles from members. He doesn't get anything off the web or anything like that. So, all right, Jerry Jones, are you on? He's looking for the unmute button. Yeah, I haven't talked to Jerry, so I don't even know if he's on or not.
Yeah, I haven't seen him on the list here.
Okay, he may not be. So there may not be any Astronomical League announcements. But I always want to reiterate, as Jerry does, to get out there and observe. So, all right, and that brings us to our feature presentation. So what we did was we went out and we asked some of the imagers in our club to submit to some images that they've had, so the way this is going to work is some people submitted an image, which is cool, and then some people submitted multiple images. So I'm going to go through, and first of all, I selected an image from each person so that at least everyone will have at least one of their images put up. And then if we get through all of those, we'll start going through the additional images that were submitted by members. I'm going to display the image full screen first, and then the second screen will be a little more detail about the image and what equipment they use and the like. And I'd like the person who took the image to talk about it, and I'll let you know who you are before I put it up. And then, of course, all of this will be put up on the website in a thread for the meeting afterwards. So if you want to go back and review them and what equipment they used and so on and so forth, that information will be up there. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to start with Clayton. Clayton, are you on? Clayton, are you on? Did you see Clayton come in, Matt?
I was just checking. I
not listed.
thought I did. But yeah.
He's not listed on the people list.
All right. Well, then I'll display it. So this is a shot that Clayton took. It's the moon, obviously, really nice, thin crescent moon. And here's Venus, and here's Mercury up here. So this is kind of a nice shot that he took. And then the particulars on that were that he uses his Canon 6D with a 200 millimeter f4 lens, and used Lightroom software, and took it, I think, just from his house in Woodbury. So it was a very nice shot. Okay, the next person is going to be Conrad. Conrad, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, we're going to show your shot here that you took of the flame and the Horsehead Nebula. Very nice shot.
Yeah, I took that down in Cherry Grove last November. I think it was like the last time we were out. And I had some problems with that. I was using my my Evolution Alt-Z mount, and I wasn't doing guiding yet. So, but I have a Hyperstar, so I was able to take it very short. I think what did I put up there? Yeah, for
20-second exposures. Yeah.
Yep, 20-second exposures for only 20 minutes. And when I got home, I was very disappointed with it because I noticed I had some kind of a balance problem. So my stars were oblong. I've never seen that before, and I was very disappointed. So I did some checking on the web, and I found out that I could fix it easily with a program called Star Tools. The guy's name is Ivo or Ivo. I forget his last. He's from I think he's from Australia or something. I tried doing it through PixInsight, but I had trouble with deconvolution trying to get that to work right. But Star Tools worked very well. I've taken the fixing my stars, but everything else was good on it. Just the stars were.
Yeah, it turned out nice. Nice job. Way to go.
Yeah, thank you.
And Barnard 33, which is I think is part of that red background, right? So. Yep. Okay. The next person up is going to be Doug Neverman. You on?
Yes, I am.
All right. There's your beautiful shot of the Vale. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is the Eastern Vale. I took the pictures down at CGO. This is actually taken through the imaging rig that we're setting up down at CGO. And this is taken through the Takahashi telescope, and then the new camera that was purchased back in back at the beginning of June. This is really a first light with that camera on that telescope. I didn't use the computer. I used my own computer, so I used Sequence Generator Pro. And I took actually 2.5 hours of pictures, but had to throw out about a half hour's worth of them because of tracking problems, or could be people walking or me walking across the cement, out of focus, just different reasons why things can get thrown out. Satellites is one that I'll take up. So the location is not correct. It's not at Eagle Lake Observatory. It's actually at CGO.
At CGO, okay.
Yeah, and then I took it through PixInsight, experimenting with new features in there, actually color saturation to deepen those colors a little bit. They can sometimes get a little bit pale as far as I'm concerned, so I deepen those. There's a difficulty in taking pictures in the Milky Way, just because of trying to take care of the background, because all of those stars are just kind of a little bit, they're not quite bright enough, so they don't really resolve, and they kind of end up contributing to the noise. So I actually darkened the background more than I really wanted to, but I think it turned out nice.
Oh, it's beautiful. I think it's great. Talk a little bit about the imaging rig. Where are we with that?
Yeah, the imaging rig, like I say, we have integrated with the Takahashi, the new camera on the Takahashi, and we've also purchased a new power supply. The power supply that was down there was not going to be sufficient when we started adding cameras. It was only a 12 amp power supply, and we needed to raise that up a little bit. So we bought a 30 amp power supply. On Monday, 4 of us were down there. Robert Miller, Jim Knudsen, Mark Job were down there. On Monday, we actually installed a new mount down there. So we have a Paramount ME2 down there, and that actually gives us a little bit of room. We could move it to the east and move it to the south a little bit. So the visual peoples will be happy to know they have a little bit more room for around the LX200.
So that ME2, that's the same mount they have at Eagle Lake, though, right?
I believe that's the case. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Just so people get an idea of what we're talking about.
Sure.
Okay. Go ahead.
We do have a little bit more work to do with the mount. We got it all up, put the telescopes on, then took them off and put them on right because they weren't pointing in the right direction. Oh well. But we have some characterization and some polar alignment. We didn't get to the polar alignment on Monday. It was rainy and cloudy, and so we couldn't do anything in there. I actually have 2 people working on the plane wave, trying to figure out what we have there, what we need to do to get it all set up properly, and I'm hoping that will be completed. I've asked them to be complete that work by September 1. And I'm hoping that we can start to have people trained on the plane wave, and also we'll see how that schedule goes. In terms of software, we were using astrophotography tools as the capture program. But given the Paramount ME2, we have the software BISC software, SkyX. Now, the SkyX is very complicated, but back behind SkyX is another interface called LTI. It actually uses SkyX, but it's a much simpler interface, even simpler than APT. So we're going to be switching to that software. And what that means is, for training, is that those that were trained will have to be retrained because we trained them on APT. We had a training last September, I think. So they will need to be retrained, and I'm hoping to offer training come August, and those that have been trained before will get first refusal on any one session. And I'm hoping to also then have at least one more training on the Takahashi. This will be on the Takahashi before winter. And with the plane wave training, I'm hoping to have one of those training on the plane wave before winter. So it's proceeding.
Good.
Hey, Doug.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Hey, Doug, this is Suresh. Can you
Yes.
briefly explain what people will have to bring with them when they do get trained and can start using the rig?
Sure. So we have it set up now that we have a camera mounted on the Takahashi, and there will be a laptop down there. The only thing you really need to bring is a USB memory something to move the files off of the laptop and onto your external storage. Then you can take them home. The one thing I will tell you is that the files that come off of this ASI camera are 51 megabytes. And if you're going to take a bunch of them, 12 of them or 10 of them, that's half a terabyte. So make sure you bring enough storage with you. Does that answer your question, Suresh?
Yes, sir. I was just feeding you a softball there.
Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot, Doug. That's great. Okay. Who's next? Is Jason Asper on?
He is on.
All right, Jason. So here's your shot of the North American Nebula. Very nice.
All right. Of course, I can't see it, but hold on.
Oh, you're on the phone? Okay.
No,
Well,
no, there I got it. So. All right.
Showing this, and then so that's a nice shot. You can definitely see the North American, and
Yep.
So here's the particulars about it. You want to talk a little bit about where you took that?
Oh yeah, I did it from the backyard here, just in kind of northeast Egan or northwest Egan, excuse me. On a work night, so I kind of tried to sleep through some of it.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so you used your doublet refractor, Canon T3i, full spectrum mode.
Yep.
A couple filters, looks like.
Yep, I used the city light suppression filter, and I used they use the CCD one since I had the full spectrum mod, so it's got a infrared to try to keep the star bloat down.
Okay. What's ASI Air?
Yeah, that's so that I use for my acquisition and my mount control.
Okay.
And guiding.
And the EQ6R Pro mount. Okay.
Yep.
And so there's your setup with your darks and flats and bias.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's it.
And then you use Deep Sky Stacker and Photoshop. Very nice. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Any questions on that? All right.
Beautiful.
Go ahead. All right. Chris Setness, you on?
I'm here. Yep.
All right. So I chose your Crescent Nebula one. I thought that was really good. Nice
Okay.
one there. And then I'm going to have the specifics on that. Just everybody kind of take in the eye candy first. Man, there's a lot of stars in there.
Looks like a granite countertop.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Okay, talk about it. So how'd you pull this out?
Yes. So I shared a couple photos, and all of them have been taken from home in Bloomington. And if you look on Clear Outside, it says we're Bortle 8. I think it's probably a little closer to 7, but it's not good in either case.
Yeah, right.
And my equipment is interesting. So I've been spending a lot of time debugging and writing custom scripts to control my camera, stuff like that. I have a Fujifilm mirrorless camera, and there's two things about it that are kind of interesting. One is it has a different pixel pattern, so it's not a bare sensor. And what this really means to me is I need to dither a lot more than you would if you're using a bare sensor pattern on a regular Canon or Nikon SLR. My pixel pattern is a little bit larger. It's 6x6, not 2x2. So that's one problem I've been working on. The other is I can't tether shoot. I can't control the camera over USB like you can most every other camera. So I had to come up with a way to have my camera, control the exposures on my camera at the same time the dither command was coming in through the software I'm using. So I had to write a custom script that was watching Indy, which is kind of like the Linux ASCOM, watching a simulator driver to know when to turn my shutter on and off. So it was kind of fun.
So just so folks understand that, you are a software developer by trade.
Yeah.
So this isn't something a normal person would go out and do.
Probably not, although there are a fair number of people using Fujifilm cameras. The off the shelf, they appear to have a slightly better response to hydrogen than an unmodified Nikon or Canon. It's marginal though, but I've noticed that I can pull out some red where it's harder otherwise. The other thing about this image was I was really challenged by Volts to get the soap bubble nebula, which is close to the crescent, and I failed. So this image is really a failure. It's a
Okay.
And it's actually 4 hours and 22 minutes. The slide is wrong. There's actually two different runs, 2 different nights, and I think this is only listing one of the nights.
Oh, okay. All right.
If I'm looking at my notes, it was 4 hours and 22 minutes of exposure time.
Okay.
What a beautiful failure.
Thanks.
Yeah, boy, I wish I had failures like that. So.
The soap bubble nebula was just not there. I know exactly where it is in that image, and it's just not showing up at all. So
no, I think it's a beautiful image. Nice job. Way to go.
Yeah, for people that are sharing from the cities, Chris is giving everybody hope of what you can do without having to drive out 3 hours.
Yeah,
exactly.
This is house, and he's pretty much in the city. So
this is from Bloomington.
Yeah, he's
in Bloomington.
Yeah, it's in Bloomington.
Oh, yeah, it gives me hope.
Yeah, I'm right next to 494 and Highway 100. That's about where I'm at.
Yeah, he really is. So yes, you can do astrophotography in the city. So.
And staying at home has been a blessing for me because I've really been able to push into learning how to process this right. So when I finally venture out again to dark sky, look out.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Mark Connolly, are you on?
Mark is on.
How's this?
There you go.
Yep.
Okay, so Mark, in my opinion, you are probably the best person in the world to capture these, and that is the ISS. That's just, I realize I've blown this up a little bit, so it's a little pixelated, but that's just an amazing shot of the ISS. so talk about how you captured that.
I had a 12-inch Orion, and it's essentially manually tracking ISS. You can figure out when it's going to come overhead over my house in Roseville. And over the years, I got a technique down where I used to try to get it all the way from the beginning to the end. Yes, but going over the zenith with a Dob is pretty tough.
Yeah.
So I decided just to get it going away from me. Mostly, you get the better reflection off the sun, off the solar panels.
Sure.
And I have the camera in RAW, but small RAW, because then the cache doesn't fill up so quick. I can take rapid, fast as the shutter will go.
Rapid it said you took 300 shots on this one, and you took the best 4 exposures and manually stacked them.
Right.
Nice.
Dave, can you zoom on that again?
Yeah.
I continually take pictures.
Hang on a second.
I continually take pictures, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
And my aiming is all manual through a 16mm finder scope.
I have a Lego model of the ISS in my office here, and I can tell you that this is amazing how much detail you have on this. So this is great.
Hey, Mark, did you get any with the Crew Dragon attached recently?
No, I don't have that scope anymore. You only get about 3 chances for flying over my house and having the right elevation and on a clear night.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. This is great. I mean, like I said, you have the best shots of the ISS I've ever seen. They're really great. And to understand that you're manually tracking this thing, you're taking some shots, you're doing the best you can to try and capture this thing, and out of 300 shots, only 4 of them are the best. That's dedication and a great job. Great job. Is Mike Shaw on?
Yes, I am.
All right, Mike. Well, we chose this one for you.
Okay. Yes.
So we got a meteor in here, and the ISS crossing.
Mm-hmm.
And what's in the background? What's the field?
So of course we've got the Lagoon Nebula here, and the Trifid Nebula.
There you go. Okay.
And M23 up on the top.
There you go. Yep. Sure.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit.
So this was out in Death Valley National Park in February, in the old days of this year, and I was just doing a project where I'm just imaging some of these objects coming up over the horizon, and this was one where I was actually tracking this particular field, and then the horizon dropped away underneath it to reveal this, and I had no idea that ISS was going to pass through the scene at all, and in fact, I don't even think I was aware of it until a friend of mine who was out the same night asked me if I'd seen it. I was like, well, as a matter of fact, I might have. So anyway, so it was one of those happen. So this was one of the, let's see, I think I wrote down the, okay. So they are 10 seconds apiece. So yeah, it's like a 2-second delay in between shots. So what I did is I took one of the shots with the one with the meteor in it, which is of course pure serendipity.
Right.
And then I took the other, and I guess there's 3 other shots with the ISS, and I just blended those in Photoshop. But what I really like about this image, actually, and this, I think what I'll appreciate this is, when we share these results with other people, a lot of times people will look at something like this and like, oh, that's really cool. There's a lot of stuff going on with it. but they don't really have an appreciation of the various different distances that these objects are away from us. You know?
Exactly, yeah.
And when you think about it, you have this meteor, which is in the atmosphere, and then you have the ISS, which is obviously not in the atmosphere, and then you have Mars down there in the bottom, actually. It's all got coma defects and stuff. Then you have these other objects. So I just think it's a real nice illustration of how, what we're looking up in the sky is this three-dimensional, thing, and that's why I chose this one to send it in.
That's a great shot. That's a great shot. I enjoyed that. Was that during a particular meteor shower, or is that just a random meteor?
No, that's just a sporadic meteor that just happened to come across the sky at that particular time. So
very good. Okay, Suresh, you're up next. You ready?
Boy, that microphone button really is hard to find sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard to find. I use the mute on my microphone.
I'm glad you picked the LMC shot, because this is probably my favorite shot. I've only been imaging for a little over a year now. This is probably my favorite shot just because we can't get it from here. I was in Southern Africa around Christmas time and visited Zimbabwe, a national park called Matobo Hills. And if you ever look on a map of North Korea and you see how dark it is at night on North Korea, Zimbabwe is right there too. I mean, it is the darkest place I've ever been in terms of no light pollution whatsoever. And if you haven't seen the Magellanic Clouds go circumpolar around the southern pole, you need to do that. They're closer to the southern pole than the Big Dipper is to Polaris, to give you some reference. So this shot was actually not taken through a telescope. It was taken with my basic Nikon D90 DSLR and a 105 millimeter Nikkor lens, I think operating at f2, I believe. So this is a compilation of 180 20-second exposures, so 60 minutes. And I was using a basic tripod with a Ioptron Sky Tracker mount. So pretty basic stuff. I was kind of limited with what I could carry with me on this trip. It was not an astronomy trip, but I was taking advantage where I could. Interestingly, in the park we were in, like I said, it was very dark, but our tour operator wouldn't let me get near any of the trees because of the leopards. And so I was watching for wildlife while I was shooting this. It was kind of interesting. But basically, the Large Magellanic Cloud is almost 11 degrees by 9 degrees in size. We have nothing comparable to it in our skies in terms of how much area it takes up and what it looks like. It really does look like, between the two of them, wispy clouds. And like I said earlier, to watch them go circumpolar is amazing. So I use an intervalometer. Like I said, I use the Sky Tracker and a tripod, the D90. And I actually shot some darks and biases as well. And when I got home, I stacked all this and processed in PixInsight. So again, if you guys ever get a chance, go to the Southern Hemisphere and see this. It's beyond amazing. Any questions?
Yeah, it's a great shot. Ready to go. All right, no questions? All right, and Maltz, you're up next. Are you on?
I'm on.
All right. So this one, I'm curious about this one. This is the Draco Dwarf Galaxy, and I'm not quite sure I understand where it is in this picture.
It's smack in the middle of the frame. You could see, if you kind of use averted vision with the image, you can kind of see an elongated blob.
Yeah.
Zoom in.
Hang on a second. I don't know if I can zoom in.
Yeah, this is fine.
Is it kind of right here? Is that kind of it?
Yeah, that's the area. So the size, it's about a quarter of the diameter of the width of this image. That's the actual physical size of it.
Oh.
So I mean, the apparent size is 35 arc seconds. So pretty much and slightly squished. But it's there. This was really a challenge shot from Chris Setness. Like I challenged him finding the soap bubble, he challenged me finding the Draco Dwarf Galaxy, and I did find it. So I took it with my Takahashi Epsilon 160 astrograph, with a QHY 22 mono cooled camera. And this was strictly astronomic CLS filter, just a black and white image, and just under 2 hours. And that my scope, and I'm guiding it's riding on a Losmandy G11 mount.
Okay, and this diagram down here just has all these objects identified that are in the area, right?
Right, and it does identify the dwarf, so it's the PGC that image actually shows.
Yeah,
but,
it's right about there, I think. So
yeah, but PixInsight actually found about 40 galaxies in that picture.
yeah. Okay, very good. Wow. Okay, so now we've gone through everybody's pictures at least once, so we're going to go through some again, if everybody's okay with that. Since we started late, I'm going to keep going. This is a shot that Clayton took of Venus and the Pleiades. So that's what you get. So, and he's got, again, just his Canon 60 and 500 millimeter lens using Lightroom. So, you know, I remember the conditions, you know, that night, and that's not a bad picture, actually. So
I don't know how he did that. It was cloudy those nights.
This is actually, I think, the actual night when, like, Venus was right in the middle of the cluster. It was cloudy. The next night, it cleared up enough to take a picture like this. I remember going out and looking at it. So this is like the night after it was right in the middle of the Pleiades. Okay, Conrad, you're back up.
Yeah, I'm here.
There's your picture of Jupiter blowing up.
Yeah, I took that. I took that in my backyard.
That's an amazing shot. That's got a lot of detail to it.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised compared to my Jupiter from last year. It was a big improvement. I've gotten better at using SharpCap, and that's kind of my go-to software, pretty much for planetary and deep sky right now. I got this first video, and then I start messing with the Barlow, and then I really screwed things up. I was trying to get it with my 2x Barlow, and somehow I hit some setting in SharpCap that caused it to stretch, and so I was really excited about taking Jupiter and Saturn with the 2x Barlow, because I've never done that before. It's very difficult because you got to really have that planet centered perfect to get it in the middle with the Barlow. And then the next day I powered my computer up and I looked at all my videos and they were all black. Very disappointed. So then it's like, oh, what the heck did I do? And I looked at the settings and I couldn't figure out. So I put a post out at SharpCap forum, and Robin, who's the developer out over in England, right away said, you know, send me the files and take a look at it. Well, somehow I was messing with the stretching, and I didn't know. I usually use the stretching for deep sky, but I was messing with it for planetary, and that was a no-no. And he found the problem, and he put it through a program called PIP. When I've used PIP before, and he turned up the gain, and when he did that, then I could see my image. But it still wasn't very good. So now that I know that, it was a good lesson for me, never to mess with that stretching in SharpCap when you're doing planetary capture. But yeah, okay. And I used my post-processing. I used AutoStacker 2, which I think somebody else mentioned they use. It's a very good program. And I don't use Registatic because I thought it was kind of confusing. I know that it's kind of unsupported. It's going away. So I went and I started using PixInsight, and I got some tips about a year ago from a guy over in Italy. Maybe it was the guy who wrote PixInsight that had me try a few things on my Saturn picture from last year, and it's only like about 6 different steps. I mean, it's restoration filter, deconvolution, TGV denoise, color calibration, and curves. And it takes like 5 minutes. It's amazing what those few functions can do to your picture. So yeah, I was very happy with it. So of course, I'm very excited about getting Jupiter and Saturn, at opposition this
Yeah.
month. So,
Yeah, get another shot at it.
yeah, so I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit. I started out with planetary and then got into deep sky, and now the planets are back. I'm kind of excited again. So, but
Very good.
when you move around like that, then you forget some things and you make mistakes. So, good to take notes, that's for sure.
There you go. All right. Chris Sedness, you're back up.
Okay.
We'll start with M13.
All right. So yeah, this is M13. What was interesting about this photo is it was taken during some of the worst of the civil unrest in Minneapolis. So I was running inside watching TV and managing my mount in the backyard, and it's kind of a surreal experience. So that's that aside. Same camera, same telescope as the last image I shared. I'm using a program called Serial to do the stacking. I don't use PixInsight, but I've been using Serial, and the latest version of Serial has fixed some of the issues that were really bizarre in earlier versions. The user interface was just wacky. But I can tell you now the latest version is actually works really well. It works in Windows, it works in Linux, and so it's probably going to become a contender to Deep Sky Stacker, which is the other open source or freeware version of stacking programs. So I've been getting along with Serial pretty well now. But yeah, this is just M13. I left the little galaxy up in the top left.
Oh yeah.
So if anybody is sick of looking at M13 because we show it thousands of times at star parties, the little galaxy is the bonus object for us. We show everybody M13, but secretly we're looking to see if we can see this tiny little galaxy.
Very good. Very good. So stay on. Here's your next one.
Oh, yeah. So this is an extremely quick image, and it's not even as good as some of the others that I saw in the club. But there's a supernova in M61, and I wanted a shot of it, so I took a shot of it. Yeah, it's only 27 minutes of exposure time, and this was really, really tiny on my setup. My setup gives me a 2-degree by 3-degree field of view. So this is a tiny little galaxy in the middle of that giant field, and I was impressed that my tracking was good enough that I could pull off round stars at that scale. So
yeah, good job. All right, cool. I think you got one more here.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So your exposures are sort of in the minute to 2-minute range, and what sets that for you?
Like I said before, I'm doing, or maybe I didn't say this before, I'm looking at the back of my camera because all my images are saved to the camera. I don't save them to a computer, so I kind of eyeball it with the histogram on the camera. One other thing that's unique, well, it's not really unique, but you want to know whether or not your camera is ISO invariant or not. So a lot of people with a Nikon or Canon SLR, they need to shoot at the optimal ISO, which is 1600, 3200, whatever it happens to be for the camera. And what I do on my Fuji camera is I shoot closer to 200, 400 ISO because I don't have an optimal ISO. My risk is blowing out the stars and overexposing.
But
so
optimal ISO, I mean, it's a trade-off of noise and response.
Yeah, in an ISO invariant, and this is probably down in the weeds. I think that's Thor that's talking, right?
Yes. Sorry.
So what an ISO invariant camera does is your exposure. So like you can your exposure balance in post-processing is equivalent to changing the ISO while you're shooting.
Okay, I have more to learn on this. So
Yeah, I
thank
can
you.
probably post a link to the forums about this. But anyway, I shoot at a lower ISO specifically so I can shoot 2-minute, 3-minute type exposures in the backyard. These are 90-second exposures.
And not blow up the stars.
And not blow out the stars, yeah.
Chris,
Gotcha.
do you find that shooting from Bloomington, if you go longer, you're going to get more sky glow?
Oh, definitely. But yeah, I'm clamping down the sky glows by lowering the ISO on the camera. And I want all of those faint pixels, or all of those faint, photons that are coming in, not faint photons, but I want to make sure that I catch enough of those per exposure that they don't disappear with average stacking. So even though the sky glow is going to get brighter and brighter, you just don't want it to be so bright that it clips out, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's down in the weeds, I'm sure, but
a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. And then finally, let's see. I think, do I have one more of yours? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think it's probably the tulip is all that the other one that I shared.
Yeah.
So this wasn't really an image to get the tulip, and it's not a very good image of the tulip nebula. The reason I took this shot is because Cygnus X1, the companion star, is in this field of view. So what I really wanted is a wide field shot with a star that I could point at and say, this is Cygnus X1.
Is this Cygnus X1 over here?
No, that's I think that's Eta Cygni. I think that is I sent an image that has it labeled, but I can point it out here. So if you go between the Tulip Nebula and that bright star, there's an obvious double.
Here? Yep.
Down. So
down.
Yeah,
down.
Between the Tulip and the bright star.
Oh, here.
Yeah, it's the bottom of those two is the companion star to Cygnus X1.
Oh.
And that's in orbit with the black hole at a very, very close distance. So pointing at the star is essentially pointing at Cygnus X1, the black hole. The distance, I think, works out to be 0.2 astronomical units, which is closer to, the black hole and that star are closer together than Mercury is to our own sun.
Wow.
So that's how close that orbit is. And it's I think it's on the order of a few days is the amount of time it takes to orbit. I think I got it here, 5.6 days is the orbital period. So yeah, that's that shot.
Cool. All right. And the same basic setup. Okay.
Yeah, same setup. Yeah.
All right. Mark Connolly, still on?
Yeah.
I got your M13 shot. One of our favorites.
This was from the backyard again. F2.
Yep.
And I was playing a lot with.
You're kind of breaking up. So.
Okay. Is this any better? I don't know. I was playing a lot with short and long exposures, trying to not blow out the center of the cluster as much.
Sure.
And that was just kind of a night of experimenting. Photoshop, Images Plus, PhD 2.
Turns out nice, though.
Yeah, it turned out good. I got some good color out of it. And the stars turned out good, so that was okay. So,
is that the little galaxy? Right there. Okay. Let me see here. Who's next? Mike Shaw, you're back? Oh, this is a great one, Mike. I love this.
I am back. Oh, here we go. Yeah, here we go.
Yes, there is light pollution.
So this is, I'm just curious to see what you guys think about this. So the deal here is I'm working on this project with the Bell Museum on, it's a resident artist project, and I'm looking at visualizing Minnesota's night skies. And part of it is looking at the effects of light pollution on sky quality. And so what I'm doing as part of the project is this summer, I just started this in June really, traveling around the state and hitting each of the 9 Bortle levels and taking a series of shots that are as comparable as they can be. And so, there's a whole slew of these things, Cygnus, Summer Triangle, but, Little Dipper. But one of the things that everyone recognizes is the Big Dipper. And so I'm showing here on the left the way the Big Dipper looks from the Stone Arch Bridge at, 12:23 on June 12th. And then almost 12 hours later that same night, or the same day, it was the second night on June 12th, the night of June 12th, 11:52 p.m., I was at a Bortle 2 site about 100 miles north. It's in Solana State Forest. It's a really dark spot. I was super impressed. And you can see all kinds of detail. And so this is a Bortle 2. The other one was a Bortle 9. At the end of the Gunflint Trail, it's Bortle 1. I've got sites, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it's just amazing how, so if we look at the exposure conditions, I tried to keep these, so Chris was just talking about ISO invariance. So this was with the same focal length, the same aperture, and the same, roughly, in this case, roughly the same shutter speed, exposure time. And the only thing that was different here was the ISO, because I had to crank down the ISO on the Stone Arch Bridge, obviously, otherwise, but yeah, it was just an interesting thing, because you can realize as you go through, I have a whole slew of these things, like I say, between the different Bortle scales. It's just fascinating to see, on the one hand, how many stars you can actually see, but also how they just really gradually fade off throughout that. So I just wanted to show you guys this and see what you guys think.
That's really a great example of what light pollution does to your sky. Okay. Let's see. Suresh, you're back on. Oh no, wait a minute. No, Mike, I got one more of yours. One more of yours. Very nice.
Oh yeah, and so this is just, and I see there's a question, where at the end of the Gunflint Trail? It's at the Trails End Campground, if you've been up there. Yeah, that's a Bortle 1, as it turns out, super dark. So this is just, I would say in quotes, just a Milky Way shot. But what's interesting about this is, so I have a whole series of these shots, again, from the same locations in the same direction at the same time of night, which is tricky because, there's not a lot of imaging time during the new moon, clear sky nights in June, July, and August. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. But what I really thought was interesting about this is, I was at this talk a few months ago, and someone made the point, and all of us sort of just, at this point, this is just part of our experience base, but they made the observation that they were amazed when they got out into a really dark sky location, like in Utah or someplace, that the clouds are just black. You don't see the clouds.
Right.
And what I thought was interesting about this, so this is looking obviously due south. We're 100 miles north of the metro. So what you can see is the lights from the Twin Cities reflecting off these clouds. And, it really shows the lights. And so if obviously the clouds weren't there, you wouldn't have the same reflection. But anyway, it was just a little story. I thought I'd throw it in there. And but again, I've got these from the different sites, and it's really, again, fascinating as you see that light dome from the cities expand, and gradually it just engulfs the whole night sky, and you're stuck, you can barely make out Antares, and Vega and so forth. So
that's a Scorpius down here, but it's really hard.
Yep, you got Spica off on the right and Virgo, and you got Arcturus right up there on the top part of it. But, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, you're right. I'm at LLCC at night. The clouds come through. They're just like voids in the sky coming through.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very different.
Okay, great. Okay, Suresh, now you're on. All right.
Sorry, I was battling that microphone button again.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a picture of the Trifid and M21 that I took just recently on the 16th of June from CGO. So this is M21 up here on the upper left, and M20, the Trifid, down below. The Trifid's kind of interesting to me because it's actually 4 objects in one. It's an emission nebula, a reflection nebula, dark nebula, and it has an open cluster. It's one of the few objects that has all 4 of those. So it's something I like to look at through a telescope as well. The telescope that I use is my Malincam 10-inch RC. It's an astrophysics reducer. It brings it to about f5.6. These exposure, this total here is 87 minutes integrated, and that's with 29 3-minute exposures, plus darks and biases and dark flats and flats. And I stack, process, and crop this in PixInsight. And of course, my usual setup is to use Stellarium, AstroTortilla, and Backyard Nikon in combination with my Celestron CGX mount. So I don't know if anybody has any questions on this.
That's a nice shot.
Thank you.
Hey, stay on. Got another one for you.
Yes, one of my other favorite objects, the Needle Galaxy. I still don't know how Messier missed this one. It's right next to the Coma Star cluster, Mel 111. So that cluster is a naked eye cluster. So if you think of the Messier list and see some of the objects that got in there, that you're like, how do you even see that? This one's much easier to see through a small telescope, and it might even be detectable in binoculars. This is 75 minutes integrated, so 25 3-minute lights. I usually shoot at ISO 1600. I find that's a nice compromise between the grainier, faster ISOs and not capturing enough light with the smaller ISOs. It's a nice, happy compromise. The camera that I've used for the last 2 shots are my Nikon D810A, which is a modified astro camera from Nikon. So it captures a little bit more red. It doesn't pertain here as much, but it pertained on the Trifid a second ago. And so, yeah, I mean, the dark lane that runs through here is just really neat. The only other galaxy I could think of that gives you a dark lane like this is NGC 891 in Andromeda. Of course, the Sombrero also has one, but this is a little bit different. This galaxy is huge. It's almost 200,000 light years wide. So it's almost twice the size of our galaxy, and it's one of the largest spirals in our vicinity. So it's kind of a treat to be able to see that edge on and see the modeling. You can actually see the modeling through an eyepiece along the dark lane. And to see it here, Dave, if you could blow that up a little bit. If you guys look close along the dark lane, you'll see detail in there. Well,
sorry.
It's okay.
There. Yeah.
So if you guys look close, you see the modeling in there. You can see that through an eyepiece too visually, but it's kind of cool to see that on a picture. There's a couple other galaxies in here. I think I get down to almost 17th magnitude in this shot.
Yeah, I can see 3 other galaxies easily in here along the bottom there. So cool. Nice shot.
Thank you.
All right. Vaults. Got a few of yours left here.
Okay.
NGC.
So
go ahead.
This is NGC 5466, and so what this is actually it's a globular. So I'm actually doing a project, a year-long project, where I'm trying to shoot as many globulars as I can, basically with my same setup and the same camera and everything the same. And what I want to do is put all the globulars together at the same scale and make like one big poster, so you can kind of compare all the different globular sizes. So this is a kind of a loose, more loose globular. So it's just not one of the more common ones photographed. So it's nice to add to my collection. But what I'm trying to do is with my camera, so I have a mono camera and basically narrow band filters. So I only have 5 positions in my filter wheel. And so I've got a CLS filter, hydrogen alpha, oxygen 3, sulfur, and then a blue filter. So what I basically have to shoot everything in narrow band, even though the object might not be a narrow band object. So that's kind of my I've been really playing around with trying to get that right recipe. So that's just one of my collections. I think I've done 16 of the globulars so far this year. So when that project is done, I'll certainly post that basically infographic picture with all the globulars at the same scale.
So here you have the same object with the more familiar object, M53.
Yeah, and well, it's the same thing, but this is the nice one because it's 2 in a view. It's one of the nicer globulars that you can see 2 in one image, either in the eyepiece or that. So this is just one of my favorites.
Nice. Okay. Yes.
And then this was back in the spring when it was galaxy season. So this was just basically my test shot for the year. M81 and M82 also just imaged with in narrowband, and I've tried to fake it.
Nice. Love all the red in there, but it's really cool.
Waltz?
Yep.
Waltz, what filters did you use on this?
So 2 hours with the CLS, hour and a half with blue, hour and a half with hydrogen alpha, hour and a half with O3.
And how did you combine the HA in?
So basically, it's hydrogen alpha is mapped to red, and blue is blue, and O3 is mapped to green. So that's my RGB image. And then I add CLS as a luminance channel.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Hey, Valls, why do you take more CLS than you do the other ones?
The CLS you can get, since it lets in so much more light than any of the other filters, it kind of fills in all of the background stuff. So most of the background stuff, like the little background galaxies, are all pretty much white. So that's really where you get a lot of the depth and the detail is with the luminance channel.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, and then this one here is a composite image with taken from a 1980s vintage C8 using an industrial camera, a point gray blackfly 1.2 megapixel CMOS camera, to a USB 3 camera, and basically this is a stitched image with 43 movie clips, 2,000 frames per movie. I take about 21% of each movie, and then everything is aligned up and stacked. So I use AutoStacker 3 to do, it's basically automatically process, stack, and sharpen up every single of the movie frames to get individual images. Then I crop any kind of ratty edges really quickly in just a simple image processing software. Then I throw that whole stack of images in Microsoft Image Composite Editor, ICE, and then basically it just spits out a full 30 megapixel image at full resolution. So this one was kind of interesting. After I got it all done, I noticed because when you have to do a mosaic, you have to have a certain amount of overlap between each of your frames. Since I'm doing it with the old Celestron C8, there's really not a lot of, there's no fancy controls to it, so I can't really program a nice mosaic. So I'm doing it all by hand. So there was one big rectangle that was not filled in. So Chris Setness actually happened to be imaging the moon the same night. So he sent me one of his moon shots with his Fuji, and I clipped out that little piece and combined it, filled in my hole. So thanks to Chris, I filled in a gap in my image.
Very good.
Yeah, and I have something to say about it because I have that moon image too. I didn't share. Volts is taking movies to make his moon. I use still images and stack them in AutoStacker 3. And the reason I do that for moon and planetary shots has to do with how the camera creates a video. And so anybody with an SLR, if you're trying to get into planetary or lunar photography, you want to know how you can control the video. If you can't take your camera and set it so the video uses a smaller chunk of your sensor, you might want to shoot stills because you'll get better resolution. So anyway, that's, sorry to jump on your picture, Vaults.
No worries. And then this was from last week, basically the same technique, but this time didn't have any holes in my data. So this was a 2-day-old moon from Monday, I believe.
Nice.
Same setup. 12, because I was only panning across the thin crescent, there's only 12 movie files this time. The same setup, all automatic.
Okay. All right, so this is actually a movie.
All right, so this was a couple days after one of the, I believe, the Starlink 7 launch. And so can you get that to run?
I'm trying here. I may have to jump out of this. Hang on a second. I'll get it.
Yeah, movies in PowerPoint are weird. You can just play that file probably.
No, it's a different file.
Anyway, it was after one of the Starlink launches, a couple days, and then there was a train of satellites going right overhead, and I was tracking it with binoculars, just absolutely beautiful in binoculars. But at the same time, I had my Canon 60DA just set up on a tripod doing 2-second time lapses, and the image to the left there is just a composite, basically a star trail image of that. So if you can blow that up, or
oh yeah,
it's really hard to see in the composite, but you can see the Starlink images go from left to right. I just happened to have this hole in the clouds. Was able to catch it.
Can I blow it up? Let's see here.
Yeah, it's really hard to see. It's right there. There's a little trail, and there's every so often there's a glint off of some of the satellites. Yeah. It was much more impressive looking at it through binoculars than it was actually imaging it.
I think I saw it that night, and I could only see really about 3 or 4 actual satellites zooming across, and then as they turned, you get kind of an iridium flare effect. They kind of
right, and you could see that in that image, those little bright streaks. Yeah. But with binoculars, you could see each and every one of those dots, all 60 of them.
I bet. The thing that amazed me about this, and I didn't realize it, is how fast they cross the sky. They're, when you watch a regular satellite or even an ISS crossing, these things cross a lot faster across the sky when you see them.
Because they're lower.
Yeah.
They're lower.
Yeah, they're a lot lower. So I can understand how they get all these UFO sightings from these satellites going across. So,
by the way, Dave, Clayton has graced us with his presence.
Clayton has. Well, I talked about your pictures, Clayton. Sorry. Oh, let me see here. All right, here's your first one.
Can you hear me?
We can. So we talked about this one first.
I don't have a lot to talk about on that. That was that night, Venus, Mercury, and a sliver of a moon. So
yeah, it's a nice shot though.
Standard Canon, 200mm lens. So
yep.
it just tripod.
I will say this for Clayton. I've seen a lot of shots from around the world about that night with Venus and Mercury. This is the only shot I've seen that also has the moon.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Clayton.
And then I went through some other ones and then came back to your second shot, which I'm getting to. This one here, right? So this is Venus and the Pleiades.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't this the night after that was in the middle of the Pleiades?
Yeah, it's the day after.
Yeah, because I think the night that it was in the Pleiades was cloudy. So.
Yep.
Yeah. So same. So you had a 500mm lens on that one. So
mm-hmm.
It's nice. Good shot. All right. We've kind of come to the end here.
Hey, Dave, there's a whole bunch of comments that popped up, especially from Joe Snyder. You might want to take a look at.
Oh. Well, how come I didn't see those? Oh, it's because I'm not scrolled down. All right, hang on. Joe Schneider, I saw a train of 12 or more, naked eye, was not fast. Oh. Well, I mean, they're gaining in altitude, right? So they start out low altitude, and they're gaining in altitude to get to a point. So I suppose if you go a couple of nights later, they're not going to be as fast. So Joe, wow, okay, so nicely done. Okay, X-ray. Yeah. Flying Saucer Galaxy. Okay, the Needle Galaxy. Actually, I think the Sombreros is also called the Flying Saucer Galaxy.
So I really do think that the sunshades they're putting on the Starlinks have helped, because I think some of the ones of that train had the shades and some didn't, and some were noticeably brighter than others.
Yeah, I agree. So after the night that we had like the 3 or 5 come through, whatever that night that was, last week when we were at CGO at about 3:30 in the morning, a few of us saw 2 separate trains go by, and we saw all of them. So the first train had 30 of them, maybe 40, and the second one had about 20. I can't remember who else. I know Todd was with me. I can't remember who else was out that night. Or maybe they could talk about. I mean, they came out of nowhere. We weren't ready for them. And as we were putting stuff away, all of a sudden the train just came by.
So that the night I had my my brood out there with you guys, because I think we saw it on our way home.
That would have been like the 24th or 26th, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, my daughter saw it out the window. Like, why are those stars all lined up? And I look, I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, there we go.
but those chains look like the earlier chains, so I don't know if any of those were painted, but they were really bright. I mean, they were all second magnitude or brighter.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
You guys saw my Starlink movie from early in the year, right? I think I posted it on Facebook.
I've seen a lot of Starlink movies. I don't know if I saw yours or not, but I've seen.
That's fine. It was out of focus anyway.
Okay. So our next meeting is going to be Thursday, August 6th. It's going to be another online meeting. I don't see any relief from that for now. We do have a speaker lined up. Ahmed, are you on? He's got to find the microphone button.
I'm on. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about our speaker next month?
The speaker we have is Tom Field. He is a writer in the Sky Magazine Telescope, and he will talk about spectroscopy.
Okay. Very good. Well, that'll be an interesting one. So we have an actual speaker next month. Woohoo! So other than that, get out there and observe if you can using the ISPs, the links on the forum. And I'm hoping to venture out here mid-month. I really want to see the opposition planet, so I'll may venture down to Cherry Grove. So, any questions?
I had a quick public service announcement, I guess.
Okay.
I put in the chat. I did post or publish all those old gallery photos in a different gallery format that was from the forum from like 2014.
Okay.
So if anybody's wanting to find those old things, it's just there's a link in the chat now. You can find those old photos.
So just so everybody knows, when we finish up this meeting, I stop the recording, and then I'm given an MP4 file of the recording as well as a PDF file of the chat. So all of the chat will be posted along with the MP3 file and the presentation. So that'll be I'll be doing it this weekend. So, and I may need to talk to you, Clayton, because this is a particularly large presentation because of all the images in there. So I don't know if I have unlimited size to put up onto the forum or not. So we'll see.
Okay.
I'll let you know if I have issues.
No problem.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, thanks a lot, everybody, for joining. So
Nice job,
it was a lot of fun.
Nice job, Dave.
Thanks a lot.
Mike Lynch had a question
Mike Lynch. Oh yeah,
on the chat.
on the chat. Mike Lynch. Let's see. Mine doesn't scroll down automatically. Oh, he said thanks. At star parties and camping in the stars, what's the policy of sharing eyepiece views through the same scope with the general public? Is it safe with COVID? That's a great question. I believe what we've been doing at the public star parties is we supplying safety glasses, or what are we doing with that? I know we are trying to keep people from getting their eyeball up against the eyepiece.
Yeah, we had actually had safety glasses that we let people purchase. And every group purchased one pair, and then they shared that pair that needed them. I also did make a box that slides over the eyepiece with a plexiglass cover. And then we can just clean that between uses. And actually, Dave Johnson was in the process of 3D printing a cap to go on the 2-inch eyepieces. And that would have a hole in the cap, essentially, and a plexiglass cover. And those are things that we can clean between each use.
Okay. So, Mike, does that answer your question? Hopefully so. Because I know Mike Lynch does star parties too, and I'm sure he's wrestling with, how do we keep the eyepieces clean between views without ruining the eyepiece? And I know and I think it's a pretty good solution. So appreciate it. Okay. Anything else? All right. Well, have a great holiday weekend, everybody, and hopefully we'll see you out there sometime this month looking at the planets and the comet. All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Good night, everybody. Hey, Mike, if you're still listening, I saw your question. I will see if I can find out from Merrill, or you can email him directly if you want, if you have his address. From what I was remembering from our previous emails, the glasses that Merrill was talking about are available at the observatory. And then I don't know what the cost was for individuals. Okay, everybody, I'm signing off. So if you have any other questions or anything I can answer, to let me know here in a few seconds. Okay, I can see your message. Where did we get them? I'm sorry. I will. I'll check with Merrill, and if you, I don't know if you have my email. It's just treasure@mnastro.org. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me, and I'll try to find out. I'll have to check and see. Okay, there we go. Thank you. I'll copy that and use that. Okay. Let's see who else is up here. Yep, I got your email. I think that they were saying that people in the same group could share the glasses if you pick them up at the place. I mean, I guess we're assuming everybody in a group is going to have whatever the other has, but definitely Merrill would be able to answer that too. But I think I actually heard him say that in this last conversation that he was commenting on. Okay, anything else? All right, I think I'm going to close this out then. Have a good night. Thank you. Bye-bye. But people with regular eyeglasses. Sorry, let's see. But people with regular eyeglasses are that. I'm afraid I'm not quite understanding that. Oh, yeah, I believe so, Mike. I think if you've got glasses already, that's fine. I'll see what I can find on the. We've had a lot of board member conversations about this, and I've not been terribly involved with them because it's mostly site committee stuff. So I'll see what I can find out. I think that he's made that clear that people with eyeglasses are fine. All the times that we've done this, I think we still have a lot to figure out. Yeah, you too. Thanks. And you're an Eganite, aren't you? I vaguely remember you're from Egan. I'm from Egan. Oh, very cool. Maybe I'll run into you sometime at one of these events. Okay, anything else? I'm gonna close it out here, I think. I think it will shut down if I leave, so I'm the last one with using the mnastro.org sign on here, so all right. Thanks all. Good night.